Am I cheating? Yes, but it's my own readathon, so is it cheating? That's the question. Hi everybody, I'm Jessica Nicole Dickerson aka J&D, and welcome back to my channel. I am wrapping up the Sunshine Readathon. I am so excited that I did this project for myself. It was a lot of fun. I really just wanted to daily vlog and, like, you know, do this thing, and I'm really happy and proud. I vlogged every day. I think there was one vlog that was under 10 minutes, but otherwise most of the vlogs were like 17-20 minutes long, and I'm like, so I'm so proud of myself. Like, that's so cool. And now I think I'm gonna commit to doing Vlogmas. I just love daily vlogging. It's a fun time for me, and you guys seem to enjoy it too, so I'm stoked. But let's get into the reading challenges that I managed to finish, and maybe some of them that I didn't. Oops. For the first challenge, Golden Hour, which was to read a heartwarming book, I read The Poetic by Elizabeth Acevedo. Also, make sure if you haven't watched my daily vlogs, please go check them out. I think they're top tier entertainment. Plus, I go in depth into like quotes and things that I love about all these reads, and maybe the things that I also don't really love about them. We get into it, so make sure to check them out. But yes, I read The Poetics, and it was such a good reread. This is one of my all-time favorite books. The writing, the narrative voice, it makes me cry, it makes me feel so many things. Basically, this is a story about Theosmata, who is 16, and she's grown up to be a very voluptuous girl, and a lot of men give her a lot of attention that she doesn't crave. But she is growing up, and she does want her first kisses and things like that. But her mom believes that her body is trouble, that, like, because she has developed so well, that she's to blame, and she needs to pray to make sure she doesn't get in trouble, with all the brunt and blame on her. And during this time, Theosmata is questioning her connection to the church. Her mom is very religious, and Theosmata's looking around going like, I don't see myself in this. All the people in church, or the religious figures we praise, are all, they all look a certain type of way. They don't look like me. I don't see myself in this. How am I supposed to have faith in this? She also has just lots of questions. So I think because of that, there's a lot of tension between her and her mom. And there's tension because Theosmata is an outspoken woman who wants to chase poetry. She has just such a way with words, the way she gets into slam poetry and really wants to express herself and distance herself from the church and explore more art forms, causes lots of tension, and all while maybe getting a new boyfriend. So it's a messy time. So make sure to go check out The Poetics if you haven't. I know a lot of you guys read it for the readathon, which is so exciting. Just in case y'all haven't picked it up yet, I feel like my mom hasn't picked this up yet, and I just want to cuss her out because I'm like, this is thebomb.com. What are you doing? What are you doing? Hurry up. Let me read the first sentence for you, just in case you're not compelled enough yet to read it. Friday, August 24th, stoop sitting. The summer is made for stoop sitting, and since it's the last week before school starts, Harlem is opening its eyes to September. I messed up that sentence, but that's okay. We're rolling with it. So I managed that challenge. Bing! The next challenge is Dawnbreaker, and for this one it's to read a buddy read with someone you've always wanted to. And I realized, like, a lot of you guys in the comments were like, we don't want to ask nobody to buddy read, so I was like, okay, I'll choose like a group buddy read, and it was between The Poetics and Blackout. So I know some of you guys read one or the other, which is very cool. I read both, so let me know in the comments if you have any ideas or things you wanted to share, favorite quotes. I'd love to read about them. But for Dawnbreaker, I read Blackout, which got the majority of the votes in the video and in a poll I did. And for this one, oh, obviously I gave Poetics 5 stars. I need to do my job. For Blackout, I think I'm leaning more towards a 3.7, just because it does give me a lot of 4-star feelings. There was just one story in here that was more like a 2 or 3 star because I just wanted to move on to the next story. What's beautiful about Blackout is it's written by 6 amazing authors: Daniel Clayton, Tiffany D. Jackson, Nick Stone, Angie Thomas, Ashley Woodfolk, and Nicola Yoon. All of these stories are about people in New York City during a blackout. They're love stories. They're not all heteronormative, which I love, and they're all not about romantic love. There's one in there that's about self-love, which I'm like, yes, my asexual heart is quaking. But everything else was cute and cheesy. If you want a cute romance with lots of black love in it, definitely check it out. But yeah, this was like a 3.7 because of that one story that kind of made it just dragged, and I was just like, when are we moving on? I also feel like it was quite short, and I wish I kind of got to see more of their stories without them feeling like they dragged on, if that made sense. Most of the stories felt super short, to the point, making excellent points, but I just wish there was more to the actual story, if that makes sense. But, you know, it's just supposed to be love stories, so it's definitely marketed in the perfect way that even love stories can glow when the lights go out. It's purely a bunch of gushy, lovey romance, and it's very cool to see that all the characters kind of know each other and mention each other. I'd like to reread this to kind of see them all connect again together and actually know who each character is when names are brought up. But yeah, I kind of wish at the end, when they got to that event they were all going to, that we saw them together, but it's okay. I still think it's a solid read and would highly recommend. So the first chapter, The Long Walk, Act 1, Tiffany D. Jackson, Harlem, 5:12 p.m. It's a heat stroke kind of day. I love Tiffany D. Jackson. Oh, that's also why I love this. I just love all these authors very, very dearly, so woo, woo. Did you see I just hit myself? Ow. Well, another challenge. Ding! The next challenge, Daylight's Flare, read a book in one day. I managed to read Punching the Air, which I got as an ARC. She's a little dinged up because she was late throughout travels, and she, you know, she just had a messy flight. It wasn't, she didn't have a good time. But I'm gonna try and take care of her now. But I have been real behind on my ARC, so finally happy to have read this. It's such an impactful story. But yeah, managed to finish it in one day. Again, check out my vlogs. I was mostly excited to pick up this book because Ibby's a Boy is one of my favorite authors. I loved American Street and I loved Pride, and I've never heard any work from Yusuf Salom, and now I'm very excited to read more of his work because, if you don't know, he was wrongfully imprisoned for a crime he did not commit, and I love that he's continuing this story like outside and like trying to empower people to know that they can escape this fate even though this system is against you. It's like you have to speak your truth, you have to fight for what's right, even if you're not wrongfully accused, even if you're, you know, me walking around your daily life not doing anything, in no harm, all of my privilege in my little privilege bubble. What am I gonna do to, you know, lift voices of people? And I think the least I could do is read important work like this. Like, the least that we can do, if you're in the same boat as me in our little privilege bubbles, is to kind of burst our bubble and talk about things that are happening to people that unjustly. So yeah, Punching the Air, highly recommend. Gave it a 4-star. It is about a boy named Amal who is wrongfully imprisoned because the crime, he does admit that he has some faults to play in a fight that broke out, but he claims that he is not the one who brutally beat up this gentleman. They're all kids, FYI, they're all like 16. So he says, I didn't do that to him. I threw a punch because of self-defense, not because of all of this. But he is convicted of a crime, sent to juvenile hall, which is jail, stripped of any kind of semblance of humanity. You have to, it's interesting, it really depicts how prison breaks you down, and the messaging of people in prison trying to support him was just awful, because it's like most of the people in prison were just like, shut up, do what you're told, stop trying to be somebody, this isn't meant to be your like artistic scene, like you're nothing. It's like, how are you helping this gentleman by telling him to shut up and that his ideas aren't important and he's not worth anything or valuable? How does that make sense? the character development of learning to express yourself and tell your truth. It was so sad to see all of that happen. The only reason I'm not giving this a 5-star is because it took about 100 pages to really understand them all. The first 100 pages are a lot of kind of big picture metaphors of life and being carved into a monster and people seeing him a way that isn't truthful. And I think that's important. And that's why it was a personal reading taste that I wish I got to know him a little bit better. Towards the end, I get to understand him a little better, but it's after all the falling out. So I don't feel like I knew him as a person before. I just saw what everyone saw of him and how he chooses to fight back. An incredible message. So important. So I'm not trying to say it's not a good book. It definitely is good. I highly recommend people read this. It's just that the personal connection, it takes a bit longer to get into the nitty-gritty and feeling the feelings you get because of what Amal's going through, if that makes sense. If you watch my vlog, I feel like you get a better understanding because I actually page by page like talk about the things that I'm like loved it, really enjoyed this, highly recommend. Let me read the first sentence for you. So part 1, birth. Umi gave birth to me at home. She has a video and every birthday she makes me watch. When I was little, I would run away. Umi would laugh and say, "Come here, boy, you gotta remember where you came from." It's so sweet. Could not recommend enough. So another challenge, check. This next challenge is where I slipped, where I really didn't do it justice. And I feel terrible because I literally put this challenge on there to make sure that I read more queer romance. This challenge is First Blush, and it is to read a queer romance. For this one, I'm gonna say Raybearer, even though it's a little bit cheating because the queer romance is not at the front of this relationship, The romance isn't at the forefront of the story, is what I meant to say. There is a council of members, and it's very platonic love at first, but you kind of see that the council is very polyamorous. It's a council of like 12 people, and there's relationships happening between other characters, and there is a character who is asexual, which is very, very cool. But again, that was one line in an entire fantasy book. This is not about romance at all. So I'm hardcore cheating. So let me know in the comments, should I count it, should I not? I think I'm gonna count it just because there are queer characters in this book and there's a romance in this book. Man, I'm so sad I didn't get to perfect on paper. I think I'm just gonna have to try and read that next week. But yeah, I'm just gonna count this guy and not be too hard on myself because you know what? I still read a lot and I still had a lot of fun. That's what's important. And what's also important is that I'm going to continue trying to read more queer literature in general, and queer romance, including the whole LGBT plus community, non-binary too, like all of it. Like I really want to expand my narrow little bubble of privilege. But yeah, in case you don't know, Raybearer, high fantasy YA by Jordan Ifuko. It's amazing. There's a lot of complexities to this whole magical world. Basically, there's a council of 12 and each member, it represents a country, and to get chosen for this council, the prince, who is born a prince, you know, like because of his blood, he's born a Raybearer, so he has this ability to connect minds, and he has to form a council of 12 and then they govern the country. But this one girl, she was born half demon, and her mom commands her to kill him. But to join his council, she must first fall in love with him and then kill him. So it's a twisted tale, and it's so interesting. I also just love how they talk about love. This book really relies on the found family trope. It's an amazing journey, and there were so many great quotes about like equality and that men and women should work together to unify the country, to produce the best possible outcomes. It should not just rely on one gender to rule. So many great conversations that kind of parallel our world today. Highly recommend. I'll read the first sentence to you just in case you're not enticed just yet. Let me entice you further. First sentence is, I shouldn't have been surprised that berries exist. No, girl, you shouldn't have. Challenge half check This next book is also one of those challenges that kind of just went like, I half did it, so I'm gonna count it because I did spend hours reading this book, and it's a great book and I highly recommend it even though I'm not finished it yet, and that is If I Tell You the Truth by Jasmine Carr. So this is a hard-hitting story with lots of content warnings like sexual assault, police brutality, immigrant trauma, anxiety, depression, alcoholism. The list goes on, but it's an empowering story of a woman who moved away from Punjabi and she moved to Canada for her education, and she got assaulted and decides to keep the baby, gets disowned from her family, and this whole story is about how she's struggling as an immigrant to stay in her country and gather resources and all this stuff. It is such a hard-hitting book. It has so many great discussions on family, love, trauma. Again, I'm only 200 pages in, but as you can see, I've tabbed it. I don't have a rating for this just yet. I should probably finish it before rating it, but it definitely feels like a 5-star. This book tackles the challenge of Sunshine, read a book recommended by a booktuber. This was recommended by Alexandria Ang. I'll link their channel below. She's the sweetest bean. I had a live show with reading sprints with her during the week of Sunshine Readathon. All of those reading sprints were so much fun. Go check them out. I highly recommend. A lot of them, we just had so many great conversations, and I just got to get a lot closer to a lot of people in the booktube community, and it was very exciting. So definitely check out the reading sprints if you don't know Alexandria. Link her channel below. She has great vlogs. Her Instagram is bomb, but she talked about this in a recent vlog and she's like, why is no one talking about this? And I completely agree. More people 100% should be talking about this. It is beautiful. It is a work of art. The first sentence is, some stories bury themselves so deep within the flower bed of our mind that the earth trembles, throbs when we drudge it out. This book was awesome, man. I also kind of want to count this for the 5-star prediction Starfire challenge. I might, honestly, because the book that I thought was going to be a 5-star was a 4-star. More, maybe a 3.5-star, if I'm being more honest. So this might actually check off more than one challenge, even though I didn't finish it. But I technically didn't say that I had to finish a book to hit the challenge. You just had to read the book, so I did that. Am I cheating? Yes, but it's my own readathon, so is it cheating? That's the question. This next book I thought would be for golden hour for a heartwarming book, but then I read the Poetic, so I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do this for the 5-star prediction Starfire challenge, and that is Charming as a Verb. So I read this. I thought it would be a 5-star. It was more like a 4-star, 3.5. It was a fun contemporary. I did enjoy it. I think I would reread this just because the language was so fun, the commentary on college was so good. But I did mention it in my vlog that there was a bit of this that just seemed unrealistic to me, and I am going to talk a little bit of a spoiler. So if you're not planning on reading this book, you can keep watching, but I'll put a little spoiler flag here, and when that goes away, I'll be done talking about the spoiler. So very quickly, there's a spoiler coming. Jump to this time if you don't want to be spoiled, okay? Okay, let me give some context first. Henry wants to go to Columbia University very, very badly. He starts dating this girl. What was her name? Her name escapes me. But starts dating this girl, and it just so happens that her mom was a dean for English at Columbia University. And instead of asking her for a recommendation, even though he's a dog walker of hers, lives in the same building as her, has connections, she knows his character, he did not ask for a recommendation. He went into her office, forged an email, and sent it in, thinking there'd be no repercussions. Like, I just think someone of my generation would know that if you were to send an email, there's so much that can be traced. Like, even if you delete and like throw it away like in the garbage can, the other person still has access to the email. It can be traced quite easily. Also, it's just crazy to me because it's like, as an office woman or a woman who works in an office, she's constantly getting emails all day. So maybe, sure, the emails might, you know, there might be so many she might not notice them, but this is a woman who's also constantly on her email, constantly talking to people. So it's weird to think that she wouldn't notice email, like an email conversation that happens within a couple hours where he sends an email and waits for a reply. Like, I feel like that would pop up literally on her phone, and I'm like, how would she not notice? Also, how would she not notice if someone decided to phone her and ask her, hey, this recommendation came in from you, I want to hear about it? That's literally what recommendations are for. So it's like, the fact that he thought that he wouldn't get caught is baffling to me. And it makes me really angry because his point was so valid, because the school was talking about this one guy, Marvin, who is kind of a dickhead, and he is a good student. He has good grades, and he got an article published in the New Yorker, and the counselor is telling Henry, yeah, he's an all-around good student. Are you saying we don't weigh students fairly here? He's also, like, comes from money, and his parents went to Columbia, so he's a, what's it called, a legacy? So Henry makes the great point that it's like, okay, but Marvin gets tutors. Like, he has 2 tutors to help him through his courses. He doesn't have a part-time job. He's not working hours, like 20 plus hours a week, to add income to his family. He doesn't have that stress. In addition, the article that came out was because he had connections with his uncle and did this private interview in this cabin that he owned. So it's all those opportunities were given to him because of his money and status, and those are things Henry could never afford. He couldn't afford a tutor. He can't afford like to spare any of his extra time because he's trying to get money to be able to afford the Ivy League college. He makes all these great points, and they're all kind of flushed away because he does this email thing. So obviously, like, I don't want to spoil any more because the story wraps up and it makes sense at the end. Like, everyone's calling him stupid and stuff, but genuinely, it was really, really, really dumb. And I feel like the point of the story of your dream school and compromising yourself, it could have been just done better. I feel like that was so unbelievable, so it knocks it down a star. I don't know if I should knock it down 2 stars. Right now I'm just feeling 1 because even though I'm rambling and hating on this, I did enjoy every other aspect. The romance was so cute. How hard they work for college and how stressed out they are. It's such a realistic view of being a senior, I feel like. In my eyes, that's how I was my senior year, constantly worried about checking off boxes and not having fun and experiencing life. So yeah, I feel like everything else was so top tier, and then that happened and I was like, this is stupid. That's how I felt. So now that my rant's done, no more spoilers, 3.5 or 4 star. I highly recommend you still read it. Just know that you have to suspend your disbelief just a little bit, but it's still overall written really well. There's lots of humor in it that's great. The discussions around education, fairness, status, money, privilege, immigration because his parents came from Haiti, all of that, phenomenal, phenomenal. So I still highly recommend. Let me read the first sentence for you just in case. The first hustle, if you want to call it that, is also the simplest. Smiling, with a capital S. I actually really liked that during this whole book, not a spoiler, he had this capital smile, like capital S smile trademark. It's his like fake smile, but he's worked on it so hard, crafting this perfect image of himself for others, that they kept mentioning smile trademark, and his character was just really well done. That ending though, why you do this to me? Okay, those were all the challenges. So I feel like I hit all the challenges for the most part, the reading challenges. The only other thing that I read was Redemption. I read about 19 pages of this. I'm going to keep reading this. It comes out August 17th and I'm very, very excited. It is the sequel to Raybear, and I can't read the first sentence because it's probably spoilery, and the first 20 pages were great. I'm so excited to keep reading. I guess I should tell you what the video challenges and like photo challenges. I only ended up doing 2 and I'm a little bummed. Sad face. So I ended up doing the challenge of show us your reading routine, and favorite hobbies besides reading. Those are on my Instagram, so I did those. I didn't show off my favorite bookish outfit. I think I'll just have to make a bunch of more reels in the future, which is fun because I'm actually getting into reels and book talk now, so I think I'm going to start doing those more often. So I'll link my Instagram and TikTok below. Ew, I feel so weird saying that. I feel like I'm too old for that stuff. Even though you guys look at me and you probably see like a 16-year-old girl, I'm like, I'm almost 25. I'm on, on TikTok. But then there's obviously the people on TikTok who are like literally in their 30s and 40s making viral TikToks, so I should just shut up. I would just like to say thank you to everyone who participated. I am going to be reaching out to the giveaway winners through the comments on YouTube. On that video, the big announcement video is where the giveaways were being held. So I'm going to comment and reply to someone. I'm going to, throw everyone's name in a random raffling kind of machine, pick one. Same thing with Instagram and Twitter, and I'm going to reach out to you guys, and I'm really looking forward to sending you guys special books. And a little surprise, there's actually 2 YouTube giveaways. I didn't mention it, but I added it because there were so many people commenting on the YouTube video. So yeah, I'm really excited to share those books, send out the books to you guys, whoever wins. Oh, so exciting. Right now I haven't chosen them yet, but I'm very excited and I literally can't wait. It's going to be so much fun. That is it for today's video. Make sure to check out my Patreon. I have a special offer that's going to end August 8th. If you sign up between now and August 8th, you get a sticker. You have to sign up for my Patreon, obviously my $10 tier, Sunshine tier Patreon. You get access to 30 plus videos on there, bonus content, reading vlogs, some like really long discussion videos, a bunch of fun stuff. So make sure you don't miss out. Please check it out. The sticker is exclusive to Patreon. It won't be available anywhere else. And yeah, I'm so hyped for my Patreon. So many lovely people have joined, so thank you. And I'm just so appreciative. Yeah, I think that's it, guys. Well, I guess I'll see you in the next one.